The rain hammered against the cracked windshield as Marcus pulled into the abandoned parking lot, his knuckles white against the steering wheel. He'd been driving for 3 hours straight, running from a life that had collapsed around him like a house of cards. His ex-wife had taken everything, the house, his savings, and worst of all, she'd poisoned his daughter against him with lies he couldn't fight. The court had believed her stories about his anger, his instability, his unfitness as a father. Now he sat alone in his truck, wondering if anyone would even notice if he simply disappeared into the storm. That's when he saw her, a tiny figure huddled against the dumpster behind the closed gas station, soaked to the bone, arms wrapped around knees drawn tight to her chest. She couldn't have been more than 7 years old. Marcus's first instinct was to drive away. He had enough problems, without getting involved in someone else's crisis. But something in the way she trembled, something in her absolute stillness, held him frozen. He watched her through the rain-streaked glass, and in that moment he saw his own daughter at that age, small and vulnerable, needing protection. Before he could talk himself out of it, Marcus grabbed his jacket from the passenger seat and stepped into the downpour. The little girl didn't move as he approached, didn't even lift her head. Up close, he could see her matted dark hair plastered to her face, the too thin frame beneath clothes that had seen better days, the purple bruise blooming across her left cheekbone. "Hey there," Marcus said softly, crouching down a few feet away, trying not to startle her. "Are you okay? Where are your parents?" The child finally looked up, and Marcus felt his heart crack at the fear in her enormous brown eyes. She shrank back against the dumpster, raising one small arm defensively across her face. Her voice, when it came, was barely audible above the rain. "Please don't hit me. I'm already hurt." The words hit Marcus like a physical blow. His vision blurred, and for a moment he couldn't breathe. What kind of world was this, where a child expected violence from every adult she encountered, where her automatic response to a stranger was to brace for pain? "Sweetheart, no," he managed, his voice breaking. "I'm not going to hurt you. I promise. I just want to help. You're freezing out here." She studied him with those ancient, wary eyes, eyes that had seen far too much for someone so young. "That's what they all say," she whispered. Before. Marcus felt anger rising in his chest, not at her, but at whoever had taught her to expect cruelty. He took a slow breath, forcing himself to stay calm and gentle. "My name is Marcus. What's yours?" A long pause, then almost inaudibly, "Lily." "Lily, that's a beautiful name." He shrugged out of his jacket, holding it out to her. "I'm going to put this down right here, okay? You don't have to come near me. But please take it. You're shivering." He placed the jacket on the ground between them and backed away. Lily watched him carefully, then darted forward like a frightened animal, snatching the jacket and wrapping it around her shoulders. It swallowed her tiny frame, but Marcus could see some of the tension leave her body as the warmth began to seep in. "Do you have somewhere to go?" "Someone I can call?" Marcus asked. Lily shook her head, pulling the jacket tighter. "Mama's gone. She didn't wake up yesterday. I tried to wake her up, but she was cold. And then the man came, Mama's friend, and he was so angry. He said it was my fault, that I was a burden, that Mama wouldn't have taken those pills if I hadn't been such a problem." Her voice cracked. "He hit me and told me to get out. Said if I came back, he'd make sure I was sorry." Marcus felt his hands clenching into fists. A mother dead from an overdose, a child blamed and beaten and thrown into the streets. The injustice of it burned through him, but he forced himself to focus on what mattered. This little girl needed help now. "Lily, listen to me. None of that was your fault. You hear me? What happened to your mama? That wasn't because of you. And that man had no right to touch you or say those things." He paused, choosing his words carefully. "I know you don't know me, and I know you're scared, but I can't leave you out here in the rain. Will you let me take you somewhere safe? A hospital or the police station, somewhere they can help you properly." "No police," Lily said quickly, fear flashing across her face. "They'll put me in a home. Mama said those places are bad. She said we had to stay together, always." Marcus understood her fear. He'd heard the horror stories too. knew the system failed kids more often than it saved them. But what choice did they have? He couldn't just take a random child home with him. That would look like kidnapping. Yet the thought of handing this terrified little girl over to strangers, of watching her disappear into an overburdened system that might shuffle her between foster homes, each one potentially as harmful as the last. What if... He started, then stopped. Was he really considering this? What if you came with me just for tonight, somewhere warm and dry? I have a friend who's a social worker. We could call her in the morning, figure out the right thing to do. I promise I won't take you anywhere. You don't want to go without talking about it first. Lily studied him for what felt like an eternity. Marcus could see her weighing her options. Trust a stranger or face another night in the cold, hungry and alone. Finally, she gave the smallest nod. The drive to his apartment was silent except for the rain and the occasional sniffle from Lily, curled up in the passenger seat. Marcus kept his hands visible on the wheel, his movements slow and predictable, trying to radiate safety even as his mind raced. What was he doing? He was barely holding his own life together. How could he possibly help this child? But when they reached his small, sparse apartment, all he could afford after the divorce, and he watched. Lily's eyes widened at the sight of his refrigerator, at the promise of food and warmth. He knew he'd made the right choice, at least for tonight. He made her mac and cheese, the cheap kind from a box, and she ate like she hadn't seen food in days, which he realized with a sinking heart might actually be true. He found an old T-shirt of his that she could wear while her clothes dried, set up the couch with blankets and pillows, and kept his distance, letting her set the boundaries. Mr. Marcus. Lily's voice was small in the dim light of the living room. He'd been about to retreat to his bedroom, give her space. Yeah, sweetheart. Why are you helping me? You don't even know me. Marcus sat down on the floor, far enough away not to crowd her, and considered the question. You know what? Until today, I thought I was the unluckiest guy in the world. I lost my job, my marriage fell apart, and I haven't seen my own daughter in months. I was so focused on everything that was going wrong in my life that I forgot something important. What's that? That no matter how bad things get for me, there's always someone who has it worse. And more than that helping someone else might be exactly what I need to remember why any of this matters. He met her eyes. You reminded me that I can still do something good. So really, maybe you're helping me just as much as I'm helping you. Lily was quiet for a moment. Your daughter is lucky, she finally said, even if she doesn't know it right now. Those words, from this broken little girl who had every reason to hate the world, shattered something in Marcus's chest. Tears he'd been holding back for months finally broke free. He covered his face with his hands, shoulders shaking, and for the first time since his life fell apart, he let himself actually feel it all. He felt small arms wrap around his neck. Lily had crossed the distance between them, offering comfort to this grown man who was supposed to be taking care of her. It's okay, she whispered, patting his back the way someone must have comforted her once in better times. It's okay to be hurt too. They sat like that for a long time, two wounded souls holding each other up in the darkness. The next morning, Marcus called his friend Janet from social services. She arrived within an hour, a kind-faced woman in her 50s who'd seen it all and somehow maintained her compassion anyway. She listened to Lily's story, documented the bruises, made the necessary calls. There would be investigations, paperwork, court dates. Lily's mother's body had already been found. The man who'd hurt Lily was being located. She'll need to go into emergency foster care, Janet explained gently, at least until we can locate any other family members. What if, Marcus heard himself say, what if I did it? Became a foster parent, I mean. For Lily specifically. Janet raised her eyebrows. Marcus, it's not that simple. There's training, background checks, home studies. It takes months. Then we start now, he said firmly. I know I'm a mess. I know my life isn't exactly stable right now, but that little girl trusted me when she had no reason to trust anyone. I can't just hand her off to strangers. Over the following months, Marcus transformed his life. He attended every foster parent training session, cleaned up his apartment, found a better job. He fought his ex-wife in court again, this time with evidence of his rehabilitation, his commitment, his growth. Slowly, his daughter began visiting again. Tentative at first, but warming when she met Lily and saw the gentleness her father was capable of. Lily bloomed in his care, her laughter gradually replacing the fear in her eyes. She started school, made friends, learned that not all adults would hurt her. She and Marcus's daughter became sisters in all but name, bonding over their shared love of art and their understanding of broken families finding ways to mend. The final day in court, when the judge approved Marcus's permanent foster care arrangement, Lily gripped his hand so tight it hurt. As they walked out of the courthouse into the sunshine, she looked up at him with those same brown eyes, no longer ancient and wary, but sparkling with something that looked a lot like hope. "Thank you," she said simply, "for not leaving me in the rain." Marcus knelt down, pulling her into a hug. "Thank you," he whispered back, "for reminding me what really matters. For showing me that being broken doesn't mean we can't help put each other back together. Sometimes salvation comes in the smallest packages, delivered in the middle of a storm. Sometimes the person you save ends up saving you right back. And sometimes when everything seems darkest, a whispered plea in the rain can change. 2 lives forever, transforming strangers into family and pain into purpose." That night, as Marcus tucked Lily into her new bed in her new room, she smiled up at him sleepily. "I'm not hurt anymore," she murmured. "Not really. Not where it counts." "Me neither," Marcus replied, kissing her forehead. "Me neither, sweetheart." And for the first time in longer than he could remember, it was true.